It's time for a cup of coffee with Will and Chris at Slumberland Furniture. From Slumberland Furniture in Osage Beach, here are your hosts, William Holtz and Chris Schneider.
Hey, what's going on, Lake of the Ozarks? It's time for a weekly edition of Cup of Coffee right here from Slumberland at the lake. I am Wild Will.
I'm Uncle Chris.
We got a great show for you this week. Got some cool lake area headlines. Hey, remember the underwater rock bluff?
Yeah.
It happened again.
Yeah. And that's sad.
Not just once, but twice. We'll tell you about that. Plus, Uncle Chris and I bringing back Taste the Lake. You remember that series?
Oh, love that. Love that.
We go around and try different places. Well, we were at Shawnee Bluff earlier this week, and not only a great place for you around, but especially in the fall, a lot of cool events they got coming up. Plus, we got football rundown. 4 of our 5 lake area teams, winners advancing in the playoffs.
Like my sunglasses?
Love your sunglasses. Where did those come from?
Michael from Colorado Springs sent us both a gift. You showed your card last week that he sent you. He sent me these, so thank you, Michael. Appreciate it.
Michael and Debbie Betterton, Colorado Springs, Colorado. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for your thoughtful gifts. Of course, my Buffalo Bills card you saw last week, and we'll tell you about some lake area programming. We got parades, we got festivals, all kinds of fun stuff. But listen, it is officially November now that you're watching this, meaning Halloween has come and gone. Christmas, Thanksgiving, all of the good things right around the corner. And here at Slumberland at the Lake, they've got their Black Friday sale. It's the whole month long.
Wow.
And leading right up to Black Friday, they've got some doorbusters a couple days in. But to get us started for the month of November with the Black Friday sale, our guy Daryl Cunningham with Slumberland at the Lake.
Hey everybody, Daryl Cunningham with Slumberland Furniture at the Lake. Now that October's over, we're getting ready for the Thanksgiving season. What's that mean? Black Friday deals. We're going to do Black Friday all month long. Different deals every day, 36 months, 0% interest, and we deliver the entire lake area. Come check out Black Friday all month long at Slumberland Furniture at the Lake, where we're bringing happy home.
All right, now for our weekly lake area headlines. You remember the rock bluff? It kind of hides under the water right there by the Lodge of Four Seasons?
Yeah, I didn't know that existed until this spring when some boat got stuck on there and majorly stuck on there.
Yeah, June of 23, earlier this year, it went viral. You remember the boat that was sitting on that rock bluff? Well, they had moved the buoys for a little bit, and they're now back. But according to Lake Expo, the underwater ledge at Lake of the Ozarks snagged 2 more boats last weekend. According to Travis Coleman, who owns Lake Tow, the lake's main boat towing operation, his company was called for both incidents. However, in both cases, the boaters managed to dislodge their own, hopefully still intact.
Right.
One boater, Coleman said, managed to push through the other side of the ridge and carried on. Now, the other got help from a pontoon full of guys who got out onto the submerged rocks and literally lifted up the boat to stick the high end up enough that it could then float to freedom.
Isn't that incredible?
Kind of wild. I mean, we're just reading Lake Expo's story, so we don't. But I can envision, right? You're already in your mind thinking like, guys got lifted the boat, crazy. Coleman says the buoys signifying the underwater hazard had been curiously removed from the ledge prior to these incidents, but with these 2 incidents taking place, they're now back. Which I find that odd, very strange. Those would be removed.
Yeah, dangerous.
I said when this poor guy was getting, the first one from June, that poor guy was getting dragged on Facebook, like, that could happen to anybody, especially if you're not incredibly familiar with this body of water. So the fact they removed those buoys seems wild to me.
Well, and you know, I'd kind of forgotten about it. I'd never heard about this, you know, low water place until this spring when that boat got stuck on there. By the way, that cruiser that got stuck back in the spring is still there, sitting there on the shoreline, you know, because he just abandoned the boat, the owner of that. So, but I forgot where it was, and it's in the main channel near the Lodge of Four Seasons is where that is. So be careful if you boat over in that area.
Indeed, whether you see the buoys or not, just travel on the water with caution in that area. So kind of wild. It was neat to see the drone when that was there. I did at once feel bad for the guy that's boat that happened to, but now that he's abandoned his boat, I don't feel that bad for him. Surely they can look at the tags and track him down, right?
Oh yeah, they know who it is, absolutely. I think it's so cool though that a boat full of guys in the pontoon got out, walking on the rocks underneath the water where the boat got stuck and lifted it off and helped that way. How nice is that?
And that's the kind of people you see here
Yeah.
at the lake. Mostly the regulars, the year-rounders, the locals, but you do see a lot of the visitors here kind of catch wind of that Lake of the Ozarks spirit, and love to help out someone in distress. And we've got lots of stories like that over the years. One that I remember is when the guy's boat got stolen from Dog Days, but an onlooker jumped out of his boat and ended up getting the guy's boat back, which was wild.
Wow.
But you see those kind of stories
Yep.
down here at the lake. And if you remember in last week's show, we talked about Oasis at Lakeport. They had offered an update to say, hey, here is our timeline looking to open in the spring of 25 with the Marriott set to open in 26. And we told you, hey, free to get in. That way you have the rights to buy stuff at the shops and buy wristbands for the rides.
Yep.
Well, they officially, that being Skyview Partners, they officially released video of the blasting beginning on site. You'll probably notice when you drive there all the different rocks and all the stuff that they were removed and the excavating going on. And I went yesterday and actually got some video right there, as you guys can see this taking place. But then you see the video courtesy of Skyview Partners of the blasting. They're working, but still, one thing that I noticed right there are the Lakewood condos.
Yeah.
And so we've yet to really have that addressed or answered. We know that there's still kind of I wouldn't say a griping battle going back and forth between the association and the developers trying to buy that. Still no resolution on that, but they are moving forward, Chris, and it is starting to look nice. I mean, that rock wall, the retaining wall they've got built there, that is a sight, and they're moving forward.
Yeah, and I was so impressed. You know what I was most impressed with is that you drove over there, walked a mile over to the bridge to get that video. That was incredible.
Should have seen the looks I was getting walking against traffic down that off-ramp, back onto the bridge. And it brought back some memories because our old office when I started at Lake TV used to be right in there from the Craigs. It's now that Lake of the Ozarks Antique Mall. But that is where I first met and worked with Andrew Evans and the Lake TV crew. And so that brought back some memories. But yeah, walking down there, just seeing how much space is there. It's hard to envision when you see the finished renderings you can see of that. How are they going to fit all that in that area? And obviously with Lakewood condos, they wouldn't. But as far as the amount of space there, there's more than I had realized as it's now clear and developed. And you can see the fencing they put up trying to kind of block people's view. But they're moving forward and they're doing so quickly. I mean, they're saying that the amusement park is on track to open in the spring of 25, meaning that's about a year and a half, a little less from now.
Yeah.
And we still don't know about Lakewood condos and what's going to happen there. So interesting, but that video of the rock blasting, I always find that fascinating.
Yep.
Remember when they did the reconstruction project on the Bagnell Dam with the re-anchoring project about 4 or 5 years ago?
Right, yep.
We got some great video of some blasting and stuff going on at that point in time. But we'll follow that story because it's going to sneak up on us. You know, that amusement park, we'll start to see things go up. We'll start to see the landscape change. And if you look right across the way to the Topsider condos, they've got their 4th building started. Building 3 is up, and it's continuing to look different. Almost seems like every time you drive that bridge, it looks a little different.
Yep. Yeah, it's amazing how much growth is going on with more growth coming. Those apartment complexes off of Nichols are going up back there. And we did a story last week about the longest airstrip in the area, probably going to become a part of Osage Beach. So there's a whole lot of things happening, and it's pretty cool.
Development, big business, big people coming into the area. We're just starting to scratch the surface on what ultimately the lake will be in the next 5 to 10 years. And one thing we can assure you is Uncle Chris and I are going to be right here for the ride, right?
Yeah, whether you like it or not, right?
All right, next local story. Remember the sad story where the guy was found dead, or he was suspected dead. They saw him on video at Walmart and they couldn't find him. It's kind of a eerie, terrible story, but a Camden County man has been sentenced in what they're calling a corpse abandonment case, according to KRCG. A Montreal, Missouri man was sentenced to 4 years in the Department of Corrections after entering an Alford plea. And an Alford plea is a guilty plea by a criminal defendant who does not admit guilt but pleads guilty as part of that plea bargain. Eric Cole, 41, was charged with the abandonment of a corpse in connection with the June 22 death of Tanner Elmore. Elmore was last seen at Walmart in Camdenton in June of 22, and a press release from the Camden County Sheriff's Office stated that surveillance photos from the store showed Elmore with another man. Now, Jeff City Police identified him with Elmore as Cole, Eric Cole, as we told you, and it goes on to Cole took him to the site. They were able to find the body. He entered the Alford plea deal, and he gets 4 years. Sad deal, and where it gets wild is they had went to Camdenton to get drugs. He said Elmore had a bad reaction to drugs, and he was unable to get Narcan from a friend, so he knew he was having a bad reaction. Couldn't get Narcan, and so he drove, this is what he told deputies, to McCubbin's Point at Lake of the Ozarks State Park and left Elmore's body in a wooded area. To make matters worse, he took Elmore's cell phone, which he later sold, and it was July 14th of 22 that deputies from Jeff City took Cole to the area and the state park to try to find Elmore's body, which they would soon after do. So he gets 4 years, but just a wild thing to abandon a corpse. And another warning to those out there, hard drugs make you do things you would not typically do. One of many reasons not to entertain or play with those things.
Kind of reminds me of the movie Pulp Fiction. Did you ever see that with, what was his name? Anyway, so, I mean, it's things that happen that you would never expect to happen in your life, right? So here, a couple of guys are out doing drugs. Drugs are bad or whatever. One of them dies right there in front of the other one. So what is the other guy going to do with the body? Well, it's a crime, not to turn the body in and do all that stuff. So he goes and buries it, or I don't think he even buried it. He hid it in the woods. Well, they knew he was a part of it. He leads them to the body and all that stuff. But, I mean, can you imagine being in a situation like that? What a nightmare that would be.
You like to think that, we are made in the image and likeness of God. By our natural human design, we are designed to do what is right. When you're left in a normal situation and you're, oh man, I made a mistake, your natural inclination should be, okay, turn them in, deal with the consequences, admit that you had done wrong, and maybe even get help for the guy that had passed away prior to that taking place. But when you're under the influence, when you are not in your right mind, you typically don't think clearly. It's a clear matter of what happened in this case. And because of it, Eric Cole, 41, gets 4 years. And honestly, kind of a slap on the wrist considering the severity of the outcome.
Yeah, because they dropped a lot of second-degree murder, conspiracy to commit an unclassified felony, narcotics, abandonment of a corpse, misdemeanor, count of stealing. Could have been charged with all of that. All of that was dropped. Because of his plea bargain,
Alford
basically.
Plea.
Alford. I'd never heard of that before, the Alford plea, but that's interesting.
Yeah, it's according to Webster, it's a guilty plea by a criminal defendant, not admitting guilt, but pleads guilty as part of the plea bargain. And we talked about that. Judge Heather Miller, had actually offered some insight on Facebook recently. Remember one of the recent elections talking about a lot of times people get upset over plea deals. Many reasons why a plea deal would take place, and so that being one of the types of pleas. All right, hey, did you see the Regalia?
Yeah.
Is officially going up for auction.
Wow, I heard that at the Chamber of Commerce dinner last week, and it was like, no, that's not true. Yeah, it's going up for auction starting at $2.3 million. Are you sure the Regalia? But yeah, it is true. It is happening. That seems like a pretty low price for all of that.
Yeah, and so KRMS News article is a little confusing. It starts with, if you have $2.3 million in your pocket, you could become the next owner of the Regalia Hotel and Conference Center. Well, the 83-room complex with indoor and outdoor pool and swim-up bar, a gym, spa, and other outlets. It's got 18.7 acres. It's on the market, but with a starting bid of $2.3 million.
So that's probably going to go up, yeah.
It's an auction being conducted online starting November 14th and will come to an end at noon on November 16th. But you think about that property in particular, right? The Regalia.
Yeah.
And why it's never succeeded. And there's one of many, many reasons. But for whoever buys this project, you do have such an uphill battle. And I'm not even talking about the person that runs it being caught on video screaming at people and being hard to work with, not paying contracts. That's been notoriously the case for ownership and management at the Regalia. But you have this beautiful property, Chris.
Yeah.
They put in all these millions of dollars in renovation. You have this elephant or hippopotamus bar. It's the largest swim-up bar at the Lake of the Ozarks and in mid-Missouri. You have all of these festivities, all of these things going on. You've got different restaurants inside, and ice cream shops and conference space, all the things you need to, except for you've only got 83 rooms. So you cannot attract the big group business, right? The big conferences, things of that nature. So what do you hope to have? Water access. You don't have water access at the Regalia. And so what you need to do is be on the consciousness and on the pulse of the locals, and that has never been the case for the Regalia. You don't think of the Regalia as being a place that the community thinks about to go to the Royal Catch for dinner, and so they've failed there, but you've got all of these things working for you, but you've got an uphill battle because you've only got 83 rooms with amenities and things that should be at a resort for 400 to 500 rooms, and they don't have that. They don't have water access, and if the locals aren't thinking about it, they're not going to succeed. So the price of $2.3 million is a steal when you just talk about the 18.7 acres and where that's at. You talk about the facilities, you talk about the 83-room complex. I mean, this is no doubt a $10 to $15 million property, but it comes with the name of the Regalia, and the local that would be buying this or be interested in investing in this, they don't think that sounds like a steal for the Regalia, $2.3 million.
Interesting, depending on who buys it, though. There's plenty of room there, I think, to build. You could put up more rooms probably and add to it.
You'd have to.
I would think so. So depending on who gets it, for how much, if they're willing to put that money to build more rooms, which might actually be a positive for them, because you've got some really great places here at the lake, but they're old. They were built back in the 60s and 70s. Those things are hard to renovate, right? Yeah. And they're kind of cave-ish and stuff like that. But unless you take down the whole building and rebuild, there's not a whole heck of a lot you can do with it.
And people don't seem to mind as much about those older places because you've got water access,
Right.
You've got golf courses, you've got things to go with it, and you've got enough rooms that if you're a Fortune 500 company or a big corporation and you want to come to the lake for your 1,000-person conference, you don't have enough rooms to do that at the Regalia. And so the Lodge of Four Seasons, that works for you because it's got the space. So it's always been, to me, a bit of a conundrum as far as why are they dumping all of this money into this property? You know, they've got that cigar room in there. They're paying their bartender, God knows what. He's a famous McCormick Bourbon model, but no one knows about it. And so you've got some cool elements, but an uphill battle for whoever would invest in that. I thought you might be interested.
Yeah.
$2.3 million, you could just break it up to like 10 homes and sell them for $500,000
I'd have to get a
apiece.
loan from you, man. That's what I'd
And
have
I'd have
to
to
do.
get a loan from Marvin, so I think that our strategy is off
Yeah, a
if
little
we're going to
bit.
buy the Regalia.
Yep.
So as we move on from local stories, we wanted to tell you about a pretty cool local place. We got a segment, Taste the Lake. Wild Will and Uncle Chris taste the lake, and this week we had our first trip together out to Shawnee Bluff Winery right there off Bagnell Dam Boulevard. And Chris, I had been there before. I don't know, have you eaten there before?
I've eaten there, but it's been like many years ago, and I kind of even forgot that you could eat there. So this was great. But I mean, everybody knows about Shawnee Bluff Winery, right? I mean, it's right there by the toll bridge, incredible views.
Yeah.
You can't beat any of that. I just didn't realize you could eat there, right? I knew they had wine and stuff. So we get to go in and try there. They've got brick oven pizzas. Oh, you got that, and I stole some from you.
We got the pizza.
Oh, that was, yeah, you got it, brother. I got the salad because I'm working on this, right? Trying to get rid of a little bit of that.
But one thing about
salad
Shawnee
was good.
Well, one thing about Shawnee I wanted to mention is, you know, it's big in the summer because of the view you talked about. They've got the tasting barn. They do events out there on the bluff and also at the vineyard. But this time of year in the fall, even though you've got the view, you're like, well, it's kind of chilly. I don't want to sit outside. Well, you got options at the bluff. We went, had a great meal, as you said. It was the avocado bacon Caesar salad.
It's so good. I like a Caesar, but if you throw bacon on there, I am all in. And if you throw avocado on there, holy moly.
Maybe a little extra dressing?
Oh, I got whenever I get Caesar, I get extra dressing for that because I'm a gravy guy, right? But yeah, it was great. And I had them throw some chicken on there too, and that was great. But I did have to steal some of your pizza.
And I got the Meat Lovers pizza, and that's one thing that I love from Shawnee Bluff is their brick oven pizza, and it had Italian sausage and pepperoni and hamburger and bacon, and it was phenomenal. Comes out crispy, but we started with the Bavarian pretzels that came with beer cheese and honey mustard. And they call it the burrata bacon tomato, which is this like bread. They put these roasted tomatoes, fresh mozzarella, then oil and basil. And I mean, it was phenomenal.
I'm getting hungry just talking about it again.
And what we drink? I was impressed they had coffee.
Yeah.
But you went for one of their more signature. You had a bourbon flight.
Yeah, I did. Well, and you know, it's Shawnee Bluff Winery, so they have wine and they do wine flights, and I've done that there before. And I thought, you guys got bourbon? You do a bourbon flight too? Oh my gosh, that was greatness, because I like bourbon. I like to sip a little bourbon, you know, and let me tell you, I had 4 of them, and those were maybe some of the best bourbons I've ever had in my life.
And I want to give a shout out to Brandon Mason,
Yeah.
who was our server bartender. He was so knowledgeable, and not just the history in Shawnee Bluff. He told us that was like the old superintendent of the Osage School District's house
Yeah.
from like 1914. And I mean, it was just wild. So they have that history there. Really cool. Great daily specials, and they just changed their hours. They're going to be closed Tuesday and Wednesday, so every Thursday to Monday, 11 through Sunday, and on 11 through 7 rather. And on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they have live music and a couple of events I wanted to tell you guys about real quick. This Saturday, it's the Lake of the Ozarks Fall Crawl, Miller County Business District putting it on. All kinds of places. Well, listen, Shawnee Bluff Winery is a stop, and they're going to have the tasting barn open for festivities. Live music all day starting at noon, and they're going to be open late. Also, mark your calendars, the first annual Shawnee Bluff Winery Autumn Gala Masquerade, November 18th. Going to start at 6 out at the Vineyard. We'll have more information on that. Also, every Monday, we were there Monday, bingo at 5:30. We were only there till about 4:30, but we saw people coming to get their spot for bingo. Management recommends come early on Mondays for bingo. They fill up fast, and we got to give a shout out to Mindy Bartlett, Melissa, Danny, Charles, their entire staff at Shawnee. Of course, our server, Brandon Mason, do such a great job, and they just took home some big-time awards like #1 winery, #1 all-around restaurant, #1 hotel motel. They have those really cool, quaint little cabins that you can stay in that were there when it was first put in. So just really cool. Shawnee Bluff Winery and Vineyard in Eldon, and of course they've got their 3rd location we'll tell you about. But just an all-in-all great experience. And believe it or not, in the winter, just as great fall and winter.
I didn't know that either. You know, I mean, you know it's there in the summer because you got the incredible views of the lake and everything. But yeah, they're right there in the winter too. Like you mentioned, some historic buildings, so cool. Go in there and ask them about those buildings because it's pretty amazing story.
And they got crazy daily, weekly specials. Like Wednesday is frozen special. You get their wine slushies. One of the only places that does wine slushies. $5 on Wednesdays. Don't tell Unique, okay?
No.
But just a great place. Shout out to the crew at Shawnee Bluff. Thank you for having us, and we highly recommend you stop by and see them maybe even this Saturday as part of the Fall Crawl.
Yeah, absolutely. Love that place, man. Even more now than I did before.
All right, so real quick as we move on to football, Missouri had the open week. Of course, they move up 2 spots. Georgia wins 8-0, setting up Saturday's big matchup. Missouri 7-1 at the #1 Georgia Bulldogs. I can hardly contain my excitement. We're going to be going to the party for a purpose.
Yep.
I told Unique we have to leave at halftime to get over to Margaritaville so we can watch the second half without being interrupted. So I am so fired up for that. This could be Missouri's biggest win since their #1 win against Oklahoma.
And you actually think they are going to win?
Oh, I think they're going to expose Georgia. I think that Georgia's down from where they've been. I think they've had a very, very soft schedule thus far. I think they've not been challenged, and I think Missouri's going to come in and get off to a fast start and expose them, if you will. I got Missouri. You're going to call me crazy. I got them winning 38-17. I got them winning by 21 points, and Missouri's actually like a 16-point underdog.
Yeah, I think Georgia's going to win handily, but I hope you're right.
I love it. All right, so Chiefs and Broncos real quick. Whoa, doggy.
That was bad, man. Patrick Mahomes sick, didn't play well. The whole team didn't play well.
He looked sick.
Oh, he did.
Watching him play would make one sick.
The whole team looked sick. But I think with the Chiefs, as Patrick goes, the team goes. And when he has an off day or if he's not feeling well or if he's hurt, they're going to be in trouble.
They struggled. 5 turnovers, 2 Mahomes picks, 3 lost fumbles, 3-10 on third down, just 1 of 4 on fourth down. Still, first place in the AFC, tied with 3 other teams at 6-2.
Yeah.
Big lead in the West. I mean, they could lose the next 3 weeks, and unless something wild happened, they'd still be in first place in the West. Of course, this Sunday, big matchup. Get up early on Sunday. They're going to be in Frankfurt, Germany, and that is going to be a showdown of AFC powers, Dolphins, Chiefs.
I think it starts like at 8:30 our time on Sunday, so in the morning. So, yeah, get up early.
So make sure you turn your phones off for church on Sunday morning. That's going to be a challenge. Hey, big shout out to Andrew. Took first place in the Pick'em this week. I got second. You got third.
Yep.
Overall, you're still in first. Andrew's 5 points back. Sierra 9 points back. Want to give a shout out Osage. Their season comes to a close.
Yep.
They lost a heartbreaker 30-28 at Warrensburg. They were down 27-7.
What a comeback.
Came all the way back, but a late field goal by Warrensburg. 4-6 they finish. In Camdenton, they got a scare at home against Rolla, the 7 seed. They were down 10-14 with 1:06 to go. Took a 1-minute drive, and it was Owen Borby with the game-winning touchdown from Cade Durnan with just 26 seconds left. But a scare no one expected, setting up the Camdenton Lakers at home against Capital City on Friday night in the district semifinals. So make sure you watch Lake TV. And before we let you go, Uncle Chris, any final thoughts this week?
Yep, I've got my opinion. This is just my opinion. This is not necessarily the opinion of Lake TV and our sponsors, but this is my opinion. The United States and the world are in a state of chaos, right? So get ready for some hard times. Prepare for some hard times. So let's just look at ourselves here in America, in our own backyard. Our country has rarely been this divided. We all know this. Forget your political affiliations. Doesn't matter if you are conservative or liberal, we're all at each other's throats. So we could survive that if it wasn't for so many other factors, right? Do you remember the last presidential election year, 2020? COVID shut down. We had the Antifa and Black Lives Matters riots. Do you think we're not going to have that again in 2024? Will the people who hate Trump give up without a fight? Will the people who hate Biden Obama give up without a fight? That could get ugly. So say that we can make all, that come together and get along. How about the 5 to 10 million people from other countries that have crossed our border in the last 3 years? Do you suppose there might be some terrorists among those 5 to 10 million people? We've got China, Russia, the Islamic states. Do you think they might have sent some people across the border because they hate us? Do you remember what just a few terrorists did on 9/11? We're talking 5 to 10 million people. We don't know who they are or where they are. In our country, the last few weeks, we've seen major university professors and students support terrorists and chant death to Israel. Our own children have been brainwashed by our own educational system, and we paid them to do it. Is that going to come back to haunt us? How about China and Russia? They're saber-rattling right now. Russia's at war in Ukraine, and yes, we, America, are fighting them in Ukraine. So I hope I'm wrong. I hope a year from now you can call me an idiot. I pray that you're right. But it's only my opinion that we should prepare for the worst, even if it's just unrest in America and not all those people from other countries that have come across the border. Just my opinion, and I hope I'm wrong. But what's even more sad is that we deserve what's happening. We have kicked God out of every aspect of our lives in this country: schools, courts, homes, governments. What did we think was going to happen? Did we think God was going to bless us for that? So, of course, this is only my opinion, and I hope I'm wrong.
Uncle Chris, spitting facts. I hope you're wrong too, but I will tell you you're absolutely right about the fact that we've kicked God out of everything, and we probably do deserve this. Luckily, there's hope, and if you know the end game and you believe that what you say is real, is really real, you can have some solace and some peace. Hey, don't miss Friday night's game as we got Capital City at 7-2 at 8-2 Camdenton. That's going to be a good one. Also wanted to give a shout out to Hunter Hess, the Eldon Mustangs senior quarterback. He put up 8 touchdowns in their district opener against Buffalo. 15-20 for 286, 5 tutties, 10 carries, $125, 3 more tutties on the ground, 8 on the game, 39 for the season. Unbelievable. They're going to be at Ava on Friday in
Good
the
luck.
semis.
That's going to be a tough one.
Guys, hey, thank you for giving us a few minutes of your day. Thanks for tuning in on behalf of Uncle Chris and our entire crew at Lake TV and Slumberland at the Lake. We'll see you next week.